Welcome to Unusual TT, where we break down the most astonishing and unusual moments in table tennis. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic intersections between cinema and sports, the table tennis scenes in Forrest Gump. By all means, this movie can be considered as one of the most famous appearances of table tennis in pop culture. But what many don't realize is that the most fascinating part of Forrest Gump's table tennis story wasn't just a quirky Hollywood plotline. It was a very real event that changed the course of global diplomacy. So we assure you, by the end of this video, you'll see this movie in a completely new light. Before we talk about Tom Hanks swinging a paddle, let's rewind to the real events that inspired the movie. For more than 2 decades, from the late 1940s to the early 1970s, the United States and China had minimal diplomatic contact. It was a time of Cold War tensions, and the idea of friendly exchange seemed nearly impossible. However, in April 1971, something happened that no one expected. At the World Table Tennis Championship in Japan, a young American player, Glenn Cowan, missed his team bus and ended up on the bus of the Chinese team. The Chinese star player, Zhuang Zedong, a 3-time world champion, broke protocol and presented Cowan with a silk tapestry as a gift. The gesture was a massive news story, and it sparked what would become known as ping-pong diplomacy. The Chinese government extended a surprise invitation for the American team to visit China, making them the first group of Americans to officially visit the country since 1949. American players were stunned by the warm reception, and Chinese audiences were equally curious about their visitors. Just a year later, in 1972, President Richard Nixon himself traveled to Beijing, meeting Chairman Mao Zedong. That visit reshaped global politics, opening the door to trade and eventual normalization of relations. Indeed, this was one of the most unexpected diplomatic breakthroughs of the 20th century. Now let's zoom into Forrest Gump itself. Released in 1994, directed by Robert Zemeckis, the movie tells the story of a simple man who, through sheer luck and kindness, becomes part of some of the biggest events in American history. Forrest, played by Tom Hanks, picks up table tennis almost by accident while recovering from war injuries. In classic Gump fashion, he practices obsessively, hitting the ball against a wall until he becomes so skilled that he never loses. His talent takes him from a hospital rec room all the way to international competition. And just like that, Forrest becomes a representative of the US in China. Here's also something many fans don't know. There was actually a deleted scene involving table tennis that didn't make it to the final cut. In the scene, Forrest Gump plays ping pong with President George Bush inside the White House. The idea was to highlight just how bizarre Forrest's life becomes. Imagine the most powerful man in the world casually batting a ball across the table with him. The scene was written in the script, and while it was a fun idea, it was ultimately cut from the final film. Some other facts about the table tennis in the movie. Tom Hanks, who is a decent player, was never actually hitting a real ball. Instead, he and his opponent were simply swatting at the air, acting out the movements of a fast-paced rally. The ping-pong ball was added later in post-production using computer-generated imagery by Industrial Light and Magic. Both, Tom Hanks and his Chinese opponent, played by a professional player, later told that making shots without a ball was harder than anticipated. So they had to synchronize their moves with the sound made in the movie. Another behind-the-scenes detail worth noting: the filmmakers had to choreograph Forrest's playing style to match his personality. Notice how his strokes are short, stiff, and mechanical. That wasn't bad acting, it was intentional. Forrest isn't supposed to look like a natural athlete. Instead, his movements are robotic but flawless, which fits his character perfectly. And there's an even more incredible detail. After being told to keep his eye on the ball, Forrest Gump never blinks a single time during any of the table tennis scenes. It's a small but powerful detail that shows his dedication to the one thing he was told to do. In the end, Forrest Gump's table tennis story was a clever way to tell a real story about how a simple game of ping pong could build bridges between 2 great nations and have serious international significance. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe, and drop a comment with your favorite Forrest Gump moment.